Let's read together.
Why are you still lying to yourself? This world is fucked up. There are major problems in our society. We are still diving ourselves up along racial and cultural lines, and people don't have the balls to hear it. The truth is racism and bigotry still fucking exist, and some people are so thin-skinned they refuse to admit that. To this day, many in Brazil claim that there is no racism in their small town. That's why I have to give Kirk Freeman props. When I called him in the spring of 2018, he remembered what I went through very clearly. He's one of the few who isn't afraid of the truth. But if you are the only and you aren't stuck in some real world, genocial zone, you'd better get real to your life. Fucked up because of our racist or hidden systemic racism. You are missing out on opportunities, making cheap money, not getting evicted because of America or Donald fucking Trump, or because your ancestors were slaves, or because some people hate immigrants or Jews, or harass women, or believe gay about me. In fact, the only reason I didn't become just another statistic is because at the last possible moment I got to work. During my senior year in high school, all I cared about was working out, playing basketball, and studying, and it was the accountability mirror that kept me motivated to keep pushing towards something better. I woke up before dawn and started going to YMCA most morning at 5 a.m. before school to hit the weights. I ran at the damn time, usually around the local golf course. After dark one night, I ran 13 miles, the most I would ever run in my entire life. On that run came to a familiar intersection. It was the same street where that redneck had pulled a gun on me. I avoided it and ran on, covering a half mile in the opposite direction before something told me to turn back. When I arrived at the intersection a second time, I stopped and completed it. I was scared shirtless of that street. My heart was gleaming from my chest, which is exactly why I suddenly started charging down this fucking road. Within seconds, two snarling dogs got loose and chased me. As the woods leaned in on both sides, it was all I could do to stay a step ahead of the beasts. I kept expecting that crowd to reappear and run me the fuck down like some scene from Mississippi circa 1965, but I kept running faster and faster until I was breathless. Eventually, the hounds of hell came up and locked off, and it was just me, the rhythm and steam of my breath, and that deep country pride was cleansing. By the time I turned back, my fear was gone. I found that fucking street. From then on, brainwashed myself into craving discomfort. If it was raining, I would go run. Wherever I started, my mom would say, "Get your fucking running shoes on." Sometimes I was down and had to deal with it at the accountability mirror, but facing that mirror, facing myself, motivated me to fight through uncomfortable experiences, and as a result, I became tougher and being tough and resilient helped me reach my goals. Nothing was hard for me as a cleaner. The kitchen table became my all night study hall after I fulfilled the ASVAB. The second time my mother realized that I was serious about the Air Force, so she found me a tutor who helped me figure out a system I could use to learn. The system was memorization. I couldn't learn just by scratching a few notes and memorizing those. I had to read a textbook and write each page down in my notebook. Then do it again a second and third time. That's how knowledge stuck to the mirror of my mind, not through learning but through transcription, memorization, and recall. I did that for English. I did that for history. I wrote out and memorized formulas for algebra. If my tutor took an hour to teach me a lesson, I had to go back over my notes from that session for 6 hours to look it in. My personal study hall schedule and goals became post-it notes on my accountability mirror, and guess what happened? I developed an obsession for learning. Over 6 months, I went from having a 4th grade reading level to that of senior in high school. My vocabulary mushroomed. I wrote out thousands of flashcards and went over them for hours, days and weeks. I did the same for mathematical formulas, but it was survival instinct I'm sure wasn't going to get in confidence, it becomes easy to value other people's opinions, and I was valuing everyone's opinion without considering the minds that generated them. All sounds silly, but it's an easy trap to fall into, especially when you are insecure on top of being the only. As soon as I made that connection, being upset with them was not worth my time, because if I was gonna kick their ass in life, and I was had way too much shit to do. Each insult or dismissive gesture became more fuel for the engine reviving inside me. By the time I graduated, I knew that the confidence I would manage to develop didn't come from a perfect family or God-given talent. It came from personal accountability, which brought me self-respect and self-respect will always light a way forward for me. It lit a path straight out of Brazil forever, but I didn't get away clean. When you transcend a time that has shaped, challenged you, you core it there. Feel like you won a war. Don't forget that my courage, your past, your deepest fears have three ways way of going dormant, first bringing back to life at double strength. You must remain vigilant. For me, the Air Force revealed that I was still soft inside. I was so insecure. It wasn't yet part of bone and mind. Insecure, you can stay ahead of any insults or bars a bully may throw your way. You can laugh at yourself along with them, which disempowers them. If you take what they do or say less personally, they no longer hold any cards. Feelings are just feelings. On the other hand, people who are secure with themselves don't bully other people, they look out for other people. So if you're getting bullied, you know that you are dealing with someone who has problem areas. You can explore it, or so sometimes the best way you default a bully is to actually help them. If you can think 2 or 3 moves ahead, you will commandeer their thought process, and if you do that, you've taken their damn soul without them even realizing it. Our SEAL instructors were our bullies, and they didn't realize the games I was playing during that week to keep team sharp, and they didn't have to. I Some scientists think it's the real result of endorphins flooding your nervous system. Others think it's a burst of oxygen that can help break down lactic acid as well as the glycogen and triglycerides muscles needed to perform. Some say it's purely psychological. All I know is that by going hard when we felt defeated, we were able to ride a second wind through the worst night in hell week. And once you have that second wind behind you, it's easy to break your opponent down and snatch a soul. The hard part is getting to point because the ticket to victory often comes down to bringing your very best when you fake your worst. After rocking both presses, the whole class was gifted an hour of sleeping in a big green army tent they would set up on the beach. And